Welcome to The Fight on Matrix Midwest with Randy Carricker and company.
Welcome to the show. Great to have you with us in The Fight. That's Andrew and I'm Randy, and we're very excited on this show because Angel Reese is going to be able to pay her rent.
Oh, I was worried about that
Me
all
too.
year. My New Year's resolution was for this to happen.
And WNBA salaries are going up substantially. Eli Drinkwitz is worried about his sport, and Cardinal Analyst Brad Thompson joins us later in the show. But we'll get things started with our quick hits. And Jack Hughes, who scored the golden goal in the Olympics, wants the golden puck that he scored with. But that puck happens to be at the Hockey Hall of Fame. It's on display already, along with the puck from Megan Keller that won the gold for the U.S. women's team. And the Hall of Fame says, you can't have it. Phil Pritchard, vice president of the Resource Center and curator for the Hockey Hall of Fame, told ESPN, quote, unfortunately, in the easiest words, it was never Jack's puck to own. It's been donated to us now. For every artifact that's been donated, we have a paper trail and signed paperwork of where it's come from. Well, before he made his comments that he doesn't know why the Hall of Fame has it, Jack Hughes didn't. Well, now he does, because he's heard this and he says, I'm good, I'm just going to play hockey.
I actually think Jack Hughes has a case, though, to get that puck back. Think about the final out of the World Series. The first baseman pockets the baseball. Anthony Rizzo pockets a 108-year-long drought baseball and puts it in his back pocket. He kept that baseball.
Doug Minkiewicz did that with Boston in 2004.
So it's possible to keep that memento. And so in this case, if Jack Hughes maybe, and you're not thinking about this when you're celebrating, you know, the Olympic title here, but go get that puck, put it in your pocket in that moment, and then the Hall of Fame can't have it.
The International Hockey Federation and the IOC already have it written down that any big events that occur, those pucks go to, first of all, the International Hockey Federation, and then to the Hall of Fame. And the on-ice official is instructed to go get that puck right away and then hand it to an off-ice official, and then the puck is authenticated. So Jack could have gone and got it, but the officials would have said, nope, you can't, because this is already agreed to go to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I get it. I get artifacts are meant to be in a museum. I get it.
Well, he'd rather have it. And before I knew the rule, I was on his side, but if them's the rules, sorry.
I'd give him a different puck. I'd go take that puck and give him a different one.
Hey, beating a deadline that would have led to a work stoppage, the WNBA and its Players Association reached agreement on a new CBA, and what a change. The salary cap will start at $7 million. That's up from $1.5 million just last year. With the Supermax salary starting at $1.4 million, it was $250,000 last year. $250,000 to $1.4 for the highest contract. The average salary will be around $600,000. It was $120,000 last year. The minimum salary surpasses $300,000. It was $66,000 last year. And Angel Reese, we talked about her at the outset. She was upset because she couldn't afford to pay her $8,000 a month rent in Chicago. Now, theoretically, she should be able to.
Well, we'll see what type of money she gets, right? And what she chooses to spend that money on, because she might still struggle to pay her rent if she wants to live luxuriously in different parts of her life. Now, in this case, it's good for the WNBA to see this, and can we just call it what it is? This is the Caitlin Clark effect.
It sure is.
This is why you're getting the money that you deserve now. Plus, the NBA is doing you a great service here, too, and helping you get to that dollar amount. But at the same time, when I think about who's going to be the highest paid WNBA player, and I want you to think about this for a moment, Randy, not what you think should happen, but what you're going to guess is going to happen. Who is going to get that Supermax deal first? Is it going to be Caitlin Clark or somebody else?
Could be Collier, could be Asia Wilson. It should be Caitlin Clark because she's the one that's bringing in all the money. But if you're going to give it to the best players, it's got to be Asia Wilson or Napheesa Collier, right?
I think Caitlin Clark should get it first, and then so forth down the list, based on how you just listed that out.
Yeah, and I have, obviously Caitlin's already got money because of all her endorsements, but from a basketball perspective, I mean, Asia Wilson's a 3-time MVP, Collier's an MVP.
Nobody's arguing that, right? But for fans, it started with Caitlin Clark.
She's the one they know.
get out there and, give her money now.
Yep. Major League Baseball might want their numbers to be better, but the World Baseball Classics telecast of Team USA's semifinal win over the Dominican Republic set the record for the most watched game all time with 7 million viewers, 7,369,000 to be exact, across FS1 and Fox Deportes. It was also the 9th most watched telecast on FS1 overall. Peak viewership even hit above 8 million viewers for a baseball game on a cable channel that nobody knows the number of.
That's insane, right?
Yeah.
That is absolutely crazy. But, this couldn't have happened at a better time. The World Baseball Classic could not have happened at a better time because it gets people excited about the Major League Baseball season now. And even though there are a ton of other sports happening in this moment, it's baseball now is the forefront of mind. I even think that with March Madness here on deck, I'm thinking about opening day now in St. Louis where the team isn't supposed to be good. And then I also think about the viewership numbers from 3 years ago because I thought, all right, how interesting is this to compare it to? That amount of people, the viewership numbers here in 2026 versus 2023 was up 252%.
And that's in large part because of the rules changes and the Shohei Ohtani effect, right? Him being on the Dodgers makes a big difference. I do think that baseball needs to look at what just happened and look ahead to next December. If they're even considering locking out the players, they're not even playing Russian roulette. They're just putting the gun to their head and pulling the trigger.
Wouldn't be smart.
No, it's just not a lockout or any sort of work stoppage will just alienate all those new fans that you just made. Speaking of more baseball, the Cardinals sent Richard Fitz, acquired in the Sonny Gray deal from Boston, to AAA Memphis. There was some belief, and some still do believe, that when the Cardinals start a 17-day streak of games in late April and early May, that they'd use a 6-man rotation. But to start the year, the 5-man rotation will be Matthew Liberatore, who's going to start on opening day. It was announced. Dustin May, Michael McGreevy, Andre Palante, and Kyle Leahy, who was, again, great in his last start. The only thing that surprises me is that the guy that they got, the main person that they got right now for Sonny Gray, is going to start the year in the minor league.
Well, that's where I'm at too. And you got to see what you didn't like last season from some of your starters, specifically Andre Palante. You got to really see what a full season did for that guy. And it didn't look good at all. So when you go out and you trade your ace, we're going to call Sonny Gray an ace, for Richard Fitz, that key piece, and then start him in AAA, it makes no sense to me because it just doesn't seem like those two things go hand in hand. Andre Palante, I still don't believe will be in this rotation a month into the season. I think Fitz is going to be elevated.
I think he's a lock. First of all, he had a good 4 months, bad 2 months last year, but he's added a pitch to his repertoire. He's had a magnificent spring. I don't know what you wouldn't like about him. He's a guy that last 2 years ago was their best starting pitcher. He can throw 150 innings. Are you going to judge everything about those 2 months of last year? Well, I don't think that's fair.
So 2 years ago, yes, he was the best in the ERA department for like 2 months out of the year.
But overall, in the 21 starts he made, he was their best starter.
He was a good starter.
He was their best starter.
I would say he's a good starter. But what I've been seeing lately out of Andre Palante is there's a lot of bat-to-ball contact, and there's too many balls in play with him. I just don't think he's going to last a month into the season. I think Fitz will be elevated by that time.
And I think we are so quick to rush to judgment because of what happened under the previous administration, where they weren't teaching pitchers how to pitch and players how to play. So we're judging players on something that is completely unfair. It's like trying to judge me on algebra when I had bad algebra teachers. I think sometimes you have to actually allow players to learn and to marinate at the major league level. I mean, you would have cut Sandy Koufax.
Sandy Koufax and Andre Palante in the same conversations.
Yeah, right, because they both got off to really rugged starts in their careers, right?
Well, if Andre Palante turns out to be Sandy Koufax, Randy, I'll be the first one to raise my hand.
College football. Mizzou's Eli Drinkwitz warns college football could head down a similar path as MLB due to spending disparities. He says if you're going to have teams that have $45 million rosters competing against teams that have $15 and $20 million rosters, you're going to run the risk of turning into Major League Baseball, where you have the LA Dodgers and the Florida Marlins. And that's a professional league that's not growing. Kind of is, Eli. Sorry about that. But he says they're struggling in their TV deals. I don't think if you look at their new TV deals, you'd say that. Of course, in college football in the last 25 years, you've had 26 champions. One title was shared. And of those 26 champions, 13 different programs won. Alabama's won 6 this century. Ohio State and LSU have won 3 each. Georgia, USC, Florida, and Clemson have won 2 each. That's 7 programs winning 20 of the last 26 championships. I don't think that that's parity. I don't think that Mizzou ever had a chance until we had NIL, and I don't think that they're competing with the big boys, with the LSUs of the world to get players, and LSU didn't win last year.
You're getting there, right? NIL gets you to a certain point, but you also just need people to fund your program. That's really what it's going to come down to. And what I think about here, too, is when you make the example of, okay, not everybody's going to be the Dodgers. Well, there's like 10 to 15 Dodgers in college football. You bring up the teams that could win a college football playoff any year, you could point to it and say, yeah, that team probably spends the most amount of money or
Indiana.
close to it. And that's the new example, right? Indiana. Any team can be the next Indiana. If we never had an Indiana, I could understand why these points made a lot of sense. But I'm on the other side of the fence of Eli Drinkwitz in this case and say, I actually like the disparity in college football. College football still will sell no matter what.
And it's not, my point is, we've never had parity in college football. And to say that now we're not going to because of a difference in the amount of money that programs are spending, that isn't going to be any reason for a lack of parity, because we already had Alabama winning 6 out of 16 or something like that. Those are your quick hits here in the fight. Later in the show, we're going to have some risky business. We've got some really good bets for you, and we're going to put together a great parlay for the weekend. But coming up, we're a week away from Cardinals opening day, and Cardinals TV analyst Brad Thompson will join us next in the fight. One of my favorite people in the world is Cardinals analyst Brad Thompson, a world champion from 2006, and he joins us now in the fight. And there he is, getting ready to record the Cardinal Kids Show with Fred Bird. BT, how you doing, man?
Oh, great. Actually, just knocked it out. Just
good.
got one done with old Fred Bird. We had a blast running around the stadium, and I'll tell you this place is ready to rock. They're putting all the finishing touches on Busch Stadium. The field already looks amazing. Bill Finley, the head grounds crew guy over there, doing his job. The whole crew's out there. So this place is going to be rocking and rolling, and it's crazy to believe that opening day now is less than a week away.
It's amazing. And by the way, the Cardinal Kids Show can be seen right here on Matrix Midwest. BT, before we get started with baseball, I know that you have a tendency to dabble in brackets and gambling and things like that. Who do you have in the NCAA for this year?
Man, Randy, I am so embarrassed this year. This is the least amount that I have paid attention at all. Now, you will see I do have a quarter zip on that's got Vandy on it, okay? My wife went to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, as you know, she is the brains of the operation at the Thompson household. Now, my son filled out a bracket, and he is so loyal. He's got Vandy going the whole way.
Good for him.
I ended up not going that far. The lone bracket I filled out, I thought everybody else, all my buddies that I'm filling it out with, are going to take Duke because, you know, why not? I went with Florida. I don't feel great about it, but I had to try something different. What about you guys? Where'd you land?
I've got Arizona.
Okay.
Winning it all.
And I took Iowa State. Iowa State has the best three-point shooter in all of college basketball.
Cyclones, go get them.
All right. BT, as I've watched, and you are a pitcher, and I look at the numbers for these starting pitchers, and you always said, hey, you know, a guy can have good numbers or bad numbers, but it might not be reflective of how he's pitching. So with these starting pitchers that have pretty good numbers, how have they been throwing?
Yeah, Randy, I actually said that because I didn't want you to look at my numbers and I wanted you to think it was better than they look. But no, look, this group has been throwing the ball really well. We all know what this group needs, right, is that they need more swing and miss. And there's a couple of guys in that rotation that's not necessarily the name of the game. You have to have good defense behind them as well, too. Andre Palante is looking for more swing and miss in his arsenal. Thought it was big for him to start the amount of games that he did a year ago and to eat up the innings. Now you're looking for more production, right, out of him. Michael McGreevy pounds the strike zone. He's in the zone a lot. But these guys are throwing the ball really well. McGreevy had a great spring thus far. Dustin May, you want to talk about a high-powered addition. He's out there throwing 99, missing bats left and right. I love that Matthew Liberatore is getting the nod on opening day. The results have been there if you're just looking at the box scores. But getting a chance to just watch him live. I had the opportunity during one of the spring games we did on Cardinals TV of sitting back there, and I was interviewing Dusty Blake on the field as Libby was throwing. the ball comes out of his hand so quickly, and it is on the hitter. He's got the starter's arsenal. He's got a better feel for his slider. He's working the changeup. I mean, this group is going to be fun to watch. And then obviously I don't want to forget Kyle Leahy, who has earned himself a spot, one of the pivotal pieces in this bullpen a year ago. This group is confident. They're throwing the ball well. And as you guys know, one thing that they really haven't had in the past is depth. Well, all of a sudden you look at AAA and you got guys knocking at the door. I think it's going to be a competitive year for this rotation.
Speaking of AAA, Brad, what was your reaction to Fitz being sent down?
Yeah, I heard you earlier, Andrew, and I couldn't disagree more with your take on it, but I
That's
like
okay.
embrace debate. Embrace debate. That's okay. No, the reason you do it, look, Fitz is a guy. He's got big-time stuff. He's got swing and miss. But when you're looking at this, you've got Andre Pallante, one thing, a business standpoint, Pallante is a guy that is your second highest paid pitcher, and he has no options left. So you'd be running the risk of losing him. You want to keep that depth. Fitz will be there for sure. But I think that this is great. This is a good problem to have. When you have good pitchers who you don't believe should be in the minor leagues and are there, they're a phone call away. So this is great depth. I don't worry about the fact that they didn't make a trade for Sonny Gray and they didn't make the trade for Wilson Contreras to get pieces to help you right in the beginning of 2026. That was never the idea of it. And Chaim Bloom talked about that. This is the process. This is down the road. It's providing depth, high-end depth, swing and miss depth. And Fitz will bring that, as will Dobbins, who is going to start the season on the IL with that ACL, but he's been progressing really well. I think this is the right move early on, and just a later down the road one, an exciting one, that you have an arm like his that is going to be ready to go at AAA.
So let me extend on my point on Andre Pallante for a moment. It wasn't to get him sent down and possibly put on waivers or something. It was to make him, my thing is with Pallante, I think he'd be better served as a long reliever with this team. And then, you know, he's a part of that bullpen when you need him to be that sixth guy and fits in the rotation. It was never for him not to be on the major league roster.
Sure. Well, that's fine too. I do think that can be something that evolves throughout the season too. I think that you still start this season with Pallante, a guy who gave, I believe it was 31 starts for Pallante last year. I think you run him back out there again. He's got a new wrinkle with the changeup, something that's going the other direction. But by no means do I think for Pallante specifically, is this a, hey, you have a stranglehold on this and this is your job from game one against the Rays all the way through the end of the season. I totally agree with you, Andrew. I think that this could be something that changes if he's not getting the job done or if somebody is pushing him, because there is real value in having a multi-inning reliever, because you are losing that with Leahy. Somebody's going to have to kind of fill that void. So I definitely understand that part of it, but I would do the same thing. I would run with it early, give him the opportunity to see what he learned from a full season last year in 2025 and see what it looks like in 26.
BT, when camp started, it seemed like there was somewhat of a competition for the closer's job with Swanson and Romero and O'Brien, but O'Brien got hurt. Swanson has pitched really well. I look at him as the closer on opening day. Is he the guy?
Look, I still think that it's going to be a kind of a matchup thing, and another thing that might tend to evolve really for this. You've got Stanek down there that throws the ball really well. You mentioned a couple of other names that have some big time stuff. I think it's a very big luxury for a manager to have pieces that he can move in and out there, guys in the ninth inning, seventh, eighth, ninth inning when people are unavailable. But Matt Swanson, I love the fact that he's done it before. I love the fact that he's got that closing capability and the experience at the minor league level. You get a chance to be around him. You can just tell that he's kind of built for the back end of games. So I really think that you have a lot of good options. But if you've got a lefty lane coming up, you easily see in the ninth inning, you see JoJo Romero. I think that Ollie and Dusty Blake have done a really, really good job of piecing together their bullpen over the last couple of years and keeping guys healthy. So you might see a little mix and match going on at that back end.
What have you seen, Brad, from Nelson Velasquez? I think left field is just a spot that I am so curious to see how that plays out with no Lars Nootbaar.
Yeah, I see a guy that took advantage of an opportunity. I don't think that too many people came into spring training and say, hey, you got to keep an eye on is this non-roster invite, Nelson Velasquez. Well, all of a sudden, he's hitting for average. He's hitting for power. He's getting on base. And he is, if you're just trying to put together right this second your best outfield, coming into opening day, he's your left fielder. I think that that's kind of the way that you have to look at it, and probably the way they are looking at it right now. Things change definitely as soon as Lars Nootbaar ends up coming back and he gets healthy. We don't have a definitive timeline on that. So look, I am pumped up for anybody that has an opportunity, takes it and runs with it, because that was the story of my career. I was never a shoe-in for any spot in a bullpen or a rotation. I had to perform, and that's exactly what he did. This is a guy that was drafted in the 5th round a few years back. He's bounced around organizations and found himself a spot with a team that has a lot of holes, a lot of question marks, and looking for someone to emerge. So if he does end up cracking the opening day roster and maybe even the opening day lineup, that is great. And what I hope happens is, even as Newt gets healthy, he makes it a very difficult decision as to what is the roster move. I want to see guys push each other. As you guys know, the best rosters are the ones that have competition, that have guys fighting for other guys' jobs, and he has done a very good job of that, of putting himself on the map.
Speaking of looking for someone to emerge, what has your vision of Jordan Walker been this spring?
Well, I mean, just like Jordan is probably looking at it, not where he wanted to be, right? He worked really hard this offseason, and then the fruits of his labor in the offseason haven't really come to fruition so far this spring training. I know he's had a couple of days where he's spent time in the hit lab, hitting off the traject machine, which mimics big league pitchers, which, boy, I think that's cheating. I tell you what,
I agree.
Just being a former pitcher. But he's not where he wants to be. All the numbers bear it out. I do believe that he will be given the opportunity to go out there and see what he can do. For me right now with Jordan Walker, especially at this stage when we're a week away from opening day, I don't think that you can expect wholesale swing changes. Like, that's not going to happen for him. Like, whatever small adjustments he's working on, I hope he keeps working on those. I hope that the work that he's putting on behind the scenes, all of that muscle memory, comes into games, because we revert back to whatever is comfortable when the fire is on, right? So hopefully he's put enough reps in where those things are normal. But to me, the biggest thing with Jordan Walker, guys, is going to be swing decisions. He's got to make better decisions early. I was joking around on another show a couple of days ago, but it just felt like every at-bat last year for Jordan Walker, he was 0-2. Like, it felt like he stepped in the box and he was 0-2, and I'm sure for him that's exactly what it felt like. So having the knowledge of what his strike zone looks like, early in counts, what he wants to attack, how pitchers are going to attack you, and be able to stick to that game plan, that to me is going to be the biggest thing early on for Jordan Walker.
Brad, last year, Victor Scott II was the talk of spring training. How has he looked this year?
Well, so Vic, to me, and Vic's talked about this quite a bit, he looks like an athlete when he's hitting. And I know that sounds crazy. Like, Vic is probably the best athlete that is out there. But the last couple of years at the plate, he looked mechanical, and it just looked a little bit robotic. He can go get it in the outfield. His skill set's got Gold Glove written all over it, but far more fluid at the plate, really utilizing his legs well, trusting his hands. This is a key part. Like, in a perfect offense, we've talked a lot about who's going to be the leadoff guy for the Cardinals. Look, this should be an answer for you, especially if he can drop down the bunt, if he can get the ball on the ground, if he can go the other way. I like the changes we've seen from Victor Scott II. Now you've got to see it for Vic in the regular season when you're facing all of the regular guys. Can he stay in that approach? But I like the adjustments that he's made with his swing.
BT, did you get much of a chance to see the World Baseball Classic? And if so, what'd you think?
Dude, I was locked into the World Baseball Classic. I think that is such an incredible thing that they do. I love seeing the raw emotion from not only the fans representing their countries, but from the players. I think Major League Baseball has knocked it out of the park, and forgive the pun, but with the World Baseball Classic, it is one of the coolest things. Any one of the guys that you talk to that has an opportunity to play in this truly loves it. I don't think that there's a way to replicate those kind of emotions through 162. That's more October baseball. But I love the World Baseball Classic. Did you guys get a kick out of it?
It was awesome.
Oh, It
Yes.
couldn't be better. And it wasn't better timing, too, leading up to this season. All right, Brad, last week, Randy and I both gave one bold prediction for the Cardinals. Randy's had everything to do with Nolan Gorman and hitting home runs.
I said Gorman had hit more than 27 home runs. He'd have a career high.
I love that.
And mine was the Cardinals are going to win more than 68.5 games. I think that number is just far too low for this team. What's your bold prediction for the Cardinals in 2026?
Wow, that is a fantastic question. My bold prediction for the Cardinals, and this one's a little bit tougher because I don't know what's going to look like come trade deadline. I believe that Dustin May will be a top 10 starter in the National League, and maybe even higher than that. I think the stuff that he's showing right now is electric. We don't know what it's going to look like when you come trade deadline, where the team is. Do they want to end up moving him? But I believe that Dustin May is going to set himself up for an enormous payday after this season. It's going to be one of the best arms in baseball.
Good one to hear. All right, BT, one more thing, and this is kind of existential, but you won your World Series 20 years ago. So here we are, 2026. You were a champion in 2006. What do you think, and we could go really deep here, but what's the biggest difference between that team that you played on and that game that you played and the game that you're going to broadcast in 2026?
Oh, I mean, there's a lot of different things that go into it. And look, I'm not one of these, the game was better back in my day all the time. Like, I believe that there's evolution in all things, and some good, some bad, right? When it comes down to it. I do believe that the game itself may have been a little bit more polished because you had guys that spent more time in the minor leagues and really learned how to play the game. Now you get young guys up to the big leagues, and rightfully so. You've got big money tied up in them. They've got skill sets that are probably better than they've ever had before. You got guys throwing harder, hitting the ball further than they ever did 20 years ago, which is crazy to say 20 years ago. I still act like a child, and it's been 20 years since we ended up winning the World Series. But yeah, the game has changed, the rules have changed, but at the heart of it, it's still baseball. So to me, it's the same game, just with some little wrinkles along the way. But 20 years ago, playing, I absolutely love the game. Right now, getting an opportunity to broadcast these games, I love it. So I don't care what the rule changes are. I don't care about ABS or this, that, and the other. Look, give me all the baseball, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, we all love the sport, and we love hearing you and Chip on the broadcast on Cardinal TV. Looking forward to your games and all of your shows here on Matrix Midwest, and we always love it when you come on the show. Thank you, sir.
No, I appreciate it. You guys do a fantastic job. Look forward to joining you this season.
We'll do
BT.
it. Thanks, BT. See you later. That is Brad Thompson, and he will be fun to watch and hear with Chip Carey here on Matrix Midwest and, of course, on Cardinals TV. And our weekly baseball chat is sponsored by St. Luke's, top-notch doctors in everything from heart health, orthopedics, and more. Visit stlukes-stl.com today. Coming up in the list, we have a fantastic subject for you. We're going to talk about the most crushing losses in NCAA tournament history next. Well, the NCAA tournament is here, and we've talked Cinderellas and best players, but how about teams on the other end of those conversations? Today's list, the most crushing upsets for teams in March. And I will get things started, Andrew, with my number 3. And the only reason it's number 3 is because number 1, UNLV, lost to the eventual champion Duke Blue Devils. 1991 national semifinal. UNLV is 34-0, and they've won 45 in a row. They'd won the championship the year before. They're taking on 6th-ranked 30-7 Duke, the defending champion Runnin' Rebels, as we mentioned, with 45 in a row, and nobody saw this coming. An incredible lineup that featured NBA stars Larry Johnson and Greg Anthony, George Ackles and Stacey Augmon. Mike Krzyzewski had Grant Hill, Bobby Hurley, Thomas Hill, and Christian Laettner. They're pretty darn good, too. UNLV led by 2 at half, and people were thinking, okay, UNLV will turn it on, and they never did. After the intermission, Duke took over, then proceeded to defeat Kansas in the championship game, 72-65, marking the first ever national championship for both Duke and that guy right there, Mike Krzyzewski. The big win in that tournament for Duke, their first, was the win over UNLV. And because it was UNLV, a lot of people thought that game was fixed. They really did.
I think a lot of people still think sports itself is fixed all the time. And, there's maybe a little voice in the back of my head that says that every now and then.
And there was a photo of a bunch of UNLV players with a big gambler in a hot tub, too. That didn't go over very well either.
Well, and here's the thing about basketball. It is the hardest sport to stay perfect in. It just is, because it's a game of runs. You watch that at any level, whether it's the MAC or whether it's the national semifinal in this case. A 13-0 run can change the entirety of a basketball game, and UNLV, it's just hard to be undefeated. And when you lose to the national champion, I guess it makes you feel a little bit better.
Well, and how often, to your point, how often do you see a team with a 20-point lead, and how often do you see a team win by 20? It just doesn't happen, right?
Hardly ever. Hardly ever, unless a team shoots like 13% from three-point line and 25% from the field. Okay, my number 3. I'll start by going back to the 2021 NCAA tournament, Randy. Ohio State was the 2 seed. Oral Roberts was a 15 seed. And the Buckeyes were considered one of the most dangerous teams for much of the season, reaching as high as number 4 in the AP poll. So no reason they should be scared of a Summit League team. E.J. Liddell was a mismatch nightmare who could score from anywhere. Dwayne Washington Jr. was the team's leading scorer and the dude of the group. But what really made this team difficult to scout was their positionless style of basketball. They had 4 to 5 guys that could handle the ball and shoot. So Oral Roberts had their hands full, but they also had guys that could shoot too. Max Asmus and Kevin O'Banner delivered memorable performances that eventually earned them spots at bigger universities. Just like the Big Ten championship game, Ohio State lost this one by 3 in overtime.
And then, amazingly, but this is our society today, E.J. Liddell had his and his family's lives threatened on social media because he had a bad game. Unbelievable.
And what's funny is he didn't even have a bad game.
No,
he was the leading scorer in that game.
Yeah.
They just didn't beat the number 15 seed. Okay, so let me ask you this. Florida was the team that played Oral Roberts next, who lost to Oral Roberts. Did they have the same situation?
Oh,
I don't know.
By that time, Oral Roberts was good, weren't they?
Right, yeah. At this time, we thought Oral Roberts was just winning the national championship.
All right. This is one of the most memorable games ever, and we see the highlights every single year at this time of year. 1998, first round, 4-seeded Ole Miss. Looks like they're on their way to victory when Valparaiso misses a couple of free throws, and with less than a minute to go, the Rebels have the ball and the momentum. But Ole Miss missing a layup with 18 seconds on the clock causes a problem. Bryce Drew for Valpo misses at the other end, and then a foul, and the Rebels missed both shots after the foul. Valpo had one chance from their own baseline, and we'll get to this in a second. Okay, just watch what happens to Ole Miss here. Okay, you're wearing the white, you're number 4 seed, you should be able to handle Valpo, but there is the missed layup.
Use the backboard.
Yep. So, and here comes Valpo, and let's set things up. Bryce Drew, look at him on the right side, move it over, okay, and, oh no, he missed that one, but he would get another opportunity. It wasn't over yet. They're going to inbound, 2.5 seconds left, pass, Drew for the win, bang. That was a really good Ole Miss team too, and Valpo caused them to be absolutely crushed. And those are the ones you just don't expect. 2.5 seconds left. You think, okay, he might get a shot off, but he's not going to hit it. Well, he did.
That play never works. That play never works.
And they even, by the way, and we'll see it a little bit later, but at least Ole Miss guarded the inbound there.
Right. And that's the other thing, too. When you make a baseball pass with 2 seconds left, how the heck is your big guys, it's a perfect ball to your big man, who then just knows where Bryce Drew is going to be, so he just throws it in that vicinity, who has an open look of all things. Like that, yes, he's off balance, but that was an open look. So all of those things happening to make that play work is like less than 0.5%. I never see that play work in basketball.
I'll bet they remember it in Mississippi.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. And it probably lives rent-free in their heads.
Yeah.
All right, Randy, my number 2. Back in the 2018 tournament, Virginia became the first 1 seed ever to lose to a 16. And that didn't feel good. And then they won the tournament the following year. But bad luck returned to the Cavaliers in 2023. With the game locked up, one mistake changed it all. Very few moments more crushing than this. With less than 10 seconds remaining and Virginia leading by 2, Clark was trapped in the backcourt. And instead of taking a foul or a timeout, he threw a desperation heave toward midcourt, and then the play happened for Furman. The pass was intercepted. Garrett Hine then found Pegues for three, and Furman now has the lead. He drains a three with 2.2 seconds remaining. I just want to
four guards and the four guards out there, along with Shedrick, are their best free throw shooters.
Clark in a straight jacket.
Oh, he didn't need to do that.
He threw it away. Hing, Pegues. Furman leads. Timeout, Virginia.
That is crushing.
And here's the line.
Did we just see what we think we just saw? Wow!
Did we just see what we think we just saw? If there was ever a definition of what March Madness is, it's that moment.
Unbelievable. And that is, you talk about crushing losses. Now, thank goodness they had won, right? Because if you'd lost as a one seed and then not won the year after, and then you suffer that in the first round the year after that, thank goodness they won.
My goodness. They would probably be the team we label as cursed in college basketball.
All right, my number one, sorry, but we are crushed, aren't we, in the state of Missouri? 1994, Mizzou and UCLA. Tigers take the lead on a great pass to Paul Winfield, who hits the go-ahead bucket with 4.1 seconds left. But there's one last chance. Norm Stewart apparently not coaching here to guard the inbounds, so the Bruins pass it in. Tyus Edney, here it is, unabated to the basket. 4.8 seconds. That's one that Mizzou fans haven't forgotten 32 years later.
It's too bad Mizzou didn't have an extra defender down there to help on that drive.
Unbelievable. How did that happen?
Okay, so you don't guard the inbound, Randy.
Yep.
And then you don't play defense at all for a guy that you know is going to go coast to coast.
Yeah.
He's not shooting a three.
And he does it in 4.8 seconds. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
In that moment, with the score what it was, you're not shooting a three. You're trying to get to the hoop and you're trying to get fouled or you're trying to make the basket. And that was maybe the most uncontested game-winning layup I've ever seen.
Mizzou has had some devastating losses in the NCAA tournament, but that's the one that everybody talks about.
Okay, Randy, my number one. I have to go back to 2014 and 2015, but I'll start in 2014, where the national championship game featured a 7 seed against an 8 seed. Kentucky was the 8 seed, and they went on a magical run, crushing a lot of teams along the way. But this isn't about Kentucky. It's about Wisconsin. And boy, did they have an awesome team for back-to-back seasons, and boy, did they have some heartbreaks. 2014, as the 2 seed, they lost in the Final Four by 1, courtesy of that late three from way downtown from Aaron Harrison. Then, a year later, the Badgers made it to the final, upsetting undefeated Kentucky. So they got their revenge, which was another crusher in itself. We all had to watch stupid Grayson Allen, though, in the national championship game, and he had his coming out party, and they ended up beating Wisconsin. So Wisconsin, you got so close twice, 2 years in a row, and were crushed by 2 teams that the world typically cheers against. And I still feel for Sam Decker and Frank Kaminsky today.
Yeah, those were devastating. Yeah, but here's the thing. That's why blue bloods are blue bloods, because they do crush the souls of other schools.
I'm still shocked that that Wisconsin team didn't win. Did not win the year they knocked off undefeated Kentucky. It was like, the script was laid for them to win the title that year. And then all of a sudden, this guy on the bench that's just a small white guy comes into the game and just takes over.
And Decker and Frank the Tank were great. All right, a couple of honorable mentions. Back in 1989-90, Mizzou lost to Northern Iowa, led by Norm Stewart. The Tigers won the Big 8 regular season title. They were the number 1 ranked team in the country before being upset by Colorado in the Big 8 conference tournament. And then, as a 2 seed in the NCAAs, they lost to 14th seed Northern, or 3. They lost to 14th seed Northern Iowa in the first round. The Tigers were a 13-point favorite. Northern Iowa shot 50% from the floor. Tigers finished with an overall record of 26-6. That was a team that we expected was going to be great and was going to make a run in the NCAA tournament, but no.
I don't know if I can do you one better here or if I can match you, but Mizzou, Norfolk State. Yeah. I think that one is the worst for Tigers fans. And gosh, it hurt. You talked about things that hurt for a while with your number 1 on the list. This one hurt for a while because we're talking about the best Mizzou team I've ever seen. The Pressey brothers, Kim English, Marcus Denman, Ricardo Ratliff. You had Dixon's 22 points off the bench in this game, and somehow the Spartans just carved up Mizzou all night, hanging around, not going away. And that last shot by Phil Pressey was inches from sending the Tigers on. Instead, Norfolk State had one of the biggest upsets in NCAA history.
Yeah. Mizzou takes a pretty prime location in this most crushing NCAA tournament
Please don't
defeats
be
of all
this year.
time. Yeah, that is the list. And coming up, we're going to build a parlay. We've got risky business coming your way. You're in the fight. All right, time for us to build a parlay here. Some risky business in the fight. And we've got the Valspar Championship this weekend on the PGA Tour. And I have a feeling that Justin Thomas at the Valspar Championship is going to paint a masterpiece. He's going to have his best outing. Thank you. He's going to have an outing for the ages. I have Justin Thomas at plus 470 to finish in the top 5 in this tournament.
Top 5.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
I was just telling you, so Justin Thomas and Tommy Fleetwood don't have clothing deals. After this weekend, somebody's going to offer Justin Thomas a lot of clothes and shoes so that he can wear their gear.
Either that or he's going to have to wait another week.
Yeah,
One of the two, right?
Yeah.
He is, though, the 6th favorite right now to win. Is that how you would say that? The 6th best odds to win. That's better. Better grammar there, better English, I would say. And top 5, of course, 475. There's good odds there with Justin Thomas. Okay, I could see that.
Painting a masterpiece.
What did I tell you yesterday, Randy? I'm only betting on college basketball right now.
Right, until he can't anymore is what he says.
Until I can't.
And he'll bet on the NIT. I bet you're upset that the CBI collapsed.
Yeah, you know what? I just want all of that tournament basketball. Okay. I like the 8-9 matchups because I think anything can happen in those. I don't think there's that big of a gap. And so when I look at Clemson and Iowa, left side of the bracket, winner would take on most likely Florida. Iowa is one of the toughest teams defensively in all of college basketball. They can keep things low scoring. They also have who we know, Ben McCollum, as their head coach. Good, really good coach, former Northwest Missouri State guy, and Bennett Sturtz, who is one of the best players, I would say, in college basketball. Give me Iowa just to win this game.
Are you supposed to hate Iowa?
I am. But you know what? I also like money a little bit more than the hatred I have for a school.
I like that.
So we're going to win our friends at home money today, and then I'll have Iowa losing to Nebraska at some point in the tournament.
I think, and I took Iowa too, I think they're more hardened for the tournament game than a team from the ACC is.
Well,
I think the Big Ten, and we'll see if this plays out, I think Big Ten teams are more prepared for the tournament than ACC teams.
I'll tell you, too, Clemson is a team that lost early in a tournament before. I think it was like 2 years ago. I'm just going to do quick math here because we're just going to need this so we can head forward.
$883.
Yeah, we'll take $883.
There you go.
Come on.
Oh, look at that. We did it. We did it.
We did.
Yeah.
Women's basketball treated us well in the first 4.
We did.
And by the way, Mo State and Nebraska both killed their opponents. It was double digits.
Thank you, ladies. All right, that is building a parlay. Coming up, we're going to have Take It or Leave It, story time with Uncle Randy, and Today in Sports History here in the fight. We did it. All right, time for Take It or Leave It. And Andrew, USA Today has their Hope-O-Meter poll out, giving confident fans a chance to vote on who'll win the World Series. So take it or leave it, there should not be a rational Cardinals fan who's voting for them to win it all.
Didn't we bet on the Cardinals to win the World Series?
Well, I think so, but that's hope. I guess if it's a hope-o-meter, I guess you can do it. But if it's a real-o-meter, no.
I would say since you used the term rational, I'm going to leave it. Or no, I'm going to take it.
Yeah,
Take it. I'm sorry, you had should not.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, okay, so let's just exit that one out. Okay.
Hey, if they're telling us we aren't planning to win the World Series, I'm gonna agree with them.
All right, Randy, mine for you is this. So we've had a lot of changes in baseball, and as we know, ABS is making its way into Major League Baseball this season. And if you still aren't a believer that it should exist, watch this video.
Here it is.
Here's Stephen Kwan. Pitches a breaking ball outside. And look what, if you can see a lot of pitches, have those types of plate appearances. This guy
Okay, let's see where this ball ended up in the zone.
Okay.
It had to be on the corner, right? That's why
right.
it wasn't called a strike.
So. That's why it's challenged, yeah. It was right there. Oh, geez.
That was called a ball in spring training.
Amazing.
As we all know, that's a strike. Okay, so take it or leave it. ABS is going to be the best thing to happen to baseball post-pandemic.
I love ABS. I think it's great, but Going from the 3.5-hour game to the 2.5-hour game with the pitch clock, I got to go with the pitch clock.
That's a good call. That's good. I'll take it for the reason of I like that we're getting calls right again.
Yeah, there we go. All right, that is take it or leave it. Now it's time for story time with Uncle Randy. We're going to spin the wheel. We're going to get a decade. We're going to get a sport, and we're going to get a story for you kids. All right, look at this. Here we go. Spin that, baby.
Little peek behind the curtain there.
Yeah.
Didn't have it set up.
Okay, so we're going to go 2010.
2010s, that's where we are.
Okay, 2010s, and
Just so people at home confirms.
Yeah, okay, and then this one is still spinning. We're going to do 2010s hockey.
Take it away.
All right. 2016, the Blues are playing the San Jose Sharks in the conference finals, and they're headed to Game 6. And we got a dog that day, and Brian Elliott was playing great. Brian Elliott was playing terrific in the playoffs. Not in that series, not very well. So we got this dog on a Saturday, and I said, let's name him Moose. Let's name him after Brian Elliott because he's having this great playoff run. Well, that night, Moose got benched. And the Moose, the goalie, never played for the Blues again because they lost, and David Backes cried, and they got rid of Brian Elliott. By the way, they got the second rounder that they took Jordan Kyrou with, so that wasn't a bad thing. And now Brian Elliott is back in the Blues organization. But the point is, I named a dog after somebody who didn't even play for the team anymore.
Oh, that's awesome. You know, I had a family that I grew up with that named their dog Oshie because of TJ Oshie in the Olympics when he was TJ Sochi. And then TJ Oshie wasn't a Blue a few seasons after. So I think the moral of this story is don't name your dog a Blues player if you want them to remain on the team.
Name it Holly or something. Name it somebody who's not going to get traded anymore. By the way, a lot of Oshies and Yachties among dogs.
A lot of Yachties.
In
I've heard at least one or two.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, so that's story time with Uncle Randy. Now it's time for this date in sports history. This is 1998. Rupert Murdoch purchases the Dodgers from Peter O'Malley for a reported $311 million.
That's it?
Yes, in 1998. It's the highest price ever paid for a U.S. sports franchise. Now, 27 years later, the current Dodgers owner, Mark Walter, spent $10 billion to buy the Lakers. So 27 years after the Dodger franchise was sold for $311 million, let's say this again. The Lakers franchise was sold for $311 million. The Dodgers franchise.
Right.
The Lakers franchise was sold as well, but Jason Tatum of the Celtics has a $313 million contract. He's making more now than the Dodgers were sold for 27 years ago.
Owning a sports franchise has to be the best investment.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. It's pretty awesome. Hey, thanks to our buddy Brad Thompson for joining us. And don't forget, you can always see this show not only at 5 o'clock and 10 o'clock p.m. and re-aired at 7 a.m., but Friday morning at 2 a.m., it's the party show. It's the party fight.
That's the one we tune in for. Yeah. We watch ourselves back and critique our own work.
Tell your friends that they can see us, and you can also catch us on the Matrix Midwest app and the First Alert 4 On. Just search for First Alert 4 On, and you'll be able to find it. And don't forget, we're on every night also on First Alert 4 On at 7 o'clock. Plus, you can fight against me. Just email us at thefight@matrixmidwest.com. Record on Tuesdays, air on Wednesdays. Enjoy all the basketball.
Oh my goodness, it's the best weekend of the year, Randy.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Hey, thanks to Andrew. Thanks to our outstanding director, Tyler Klaus. I'm Randy Carricker, and we will see you next time in The Fight. So long, everyone.